We're going to start a new composition and we're going to learn all about masking. Masking is exactly what you would think it is that you're covering something, so some things show and some things hide. So I'm going to go to composition, new composition. And this one we're going to name our first and last name. And this one's going to be called mask. And then today's date. Okay. Here we are going to change the duration to 10 seconds instead of 5 seconds. And I do want my background color to be white. So in the previous ones, the background hasn't really mattered because we've been importing backgrounds. This one, I do want it to be white. So I clicked on the square here to bring up my color options. And then I just drag over here to find white and say OK. All right, so we're going to create our assets for this one. We're not going to import anything. So the first thing I want to do is create a text box. So with this text box, I'm going to pick the T tool, which is the horizontal type tool, and I'm going to click and drag to create a text box. So unlike Google Classroom, where you just start typing, there's already a cursor, you actually have to create a box that's going to be big enough to hold your type. So I'm going to type out the word Panthers, and I already have done this exercise, so I already have the font that I wanted, which was League Gothic. So after I type it in here, you'll see that the character panel automatically popped up, and that's the font that I use. I suggest using a sans serif font. So sans serif means that there's no little N's here, like little feet, and that it's not script, it's not stylized. It's a really nice bold font that I can see. I also picked a navy blue color, Panther Pride, and here's where I can click and drag to make it bigger. I might actually make it, yeah, actually I was okay with that one. And this is where I can change all of the parameters of my characters, my type. Alright, so now that I've typed this out, I also want to center this to the composition. So it's centered here. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to unselect this and I'm going to select anywhere else. So that's unselected. And the next asset that I want to create is a gold rectangle. So I'm going to come up here. Rectangle was on top, but you might see one of these other shapes. You just have to click and hold to get to it. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool, and I'm going to go to fill, and I want the fill to be like a gold, a maze if you will, and I don't want a stroke. So I'm going to select the word stroke and say none, and I'm going to make a skinny rectangle that is slightly wider than the word Panthers. Okay, so these are the two assets that I'm going to need for the animation. Okay, I'm going to select the shape layer and I'm going to pick S for scale, and that's going to bring up my properties here. I'm going to click the stopwatch to animate this, and I want to unlock the XY coordinates of this. So I'm going to hit the chain, which is going to unlink that, and I'm going to change the property to be 0, so it's going to look like it disappears. And then I'm going to move in time to the 1 second mark, and I'm going to change the property to 100. So now we can see what this looks like. It looks like it's coming out of thin air. So I'm making it animate outwards. Okay. Then I'm going to move the current time indicator to the 3 second mark. And I'm going to copy and paste this frame here. Make sure I'm exactly on. So I hit Command C to copy and then Command V to paste. Then I'm moving to this 4 second mark, and I'm going to paste that again, and I'm going to move to the 9 second mark and paste that again, and then I'm going to move to the 10 second mark, and here I'm going to go back to changing it to 0 again, so it disappears. So let's hit the space bar to see what that looks like. So it looks like this is widening, and I missed the 9 second mark, so I have to go back here, and I need to select this one, Command C and Command V, Okay, so now when I play, so it comes out, and then it sits on the stage. It's going to do some more stuff. We're going to animate the position, and then it's going to disappear again. Okay, now I'm going to animate the position of this rectangle. So I'm going to go back to frame 1 and hit P because I'm going to animate position. And I'm going to move to, I'm going to select the stopwatch, and I'm going to move to the 1 second mark. And I'm going to change the property to, I want the position of the rectangle to be below the word, and then I want to move the current time indicator to, so I do want this to be here, so I'm going to copy and paste this. There you go. Then I'm going to move to the 3 second mark, and I'm going to move the rectangle above the word panther. So I want it to be perfectly straight, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to bring it up here. And then I'm going to move to the current time indicator to the 8 second mark. And I'm going to copy and paste this frame. Command C, Command V. And then I'm going to move the CTI to the 9 second mark. And I'm going to move it back underneath where we started. All right, and let's take a look at what this looks like. So now it's going out, it's going above the word Panthers, it's staying there for a second, moves back down, and then so this is the animation that I want to have. Okay, so pretty easy, we just animated the scale and the position of a line. Okay, but what I want to actually happen is that I want the word Panthers not to be there when the composition starts. So what we're going to do is add a mask. Okay, so I'm going to select the Panthers text layer, and then I'm going to select the rectangle tool again, so it's already selected, and I'm going to click and drag over the Panthers text. I'm going to click and drag. Okay, and then notice that it's showing everything, but now in my drop-down menu it says that I have a mask here. So that automatically revealed the words, and now I can animate this mask. So what I want to do is twirl down the new mask option, and I want to click on the mask path because I want to animate this. And I'm going to move the mask below the word Panthers. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the word not being there. Okay, I'm going to move slightly past the 1 second mark, and I'm going to move the mask to align with the top of the rectangle right here. Okay, then I'm going to move the mask, so I'm going to go to the 4 frames before the third, right here. And again, I'm going to move this to the top of here. All right. And then I'm going to move the current time indicator about 4 frames after the 8 second mark. So about right here. And I'm going to move the mask right below here again. And then I'm going to move the current time indicator to about 4 frames before the 9 second mark. Right about here, and I'm going to move that to the top of the rectangle, and then I'm going to hit spacebar to see what this looks like. So now I have this path. Yeah, looks good. So it's revealed now. Well, let me watch that again. So it looks like it's in I want to make sure that the timing is correct. That's not, yeah, that looks good. This is going down a little bit too fast, maybe. So right here, move this up a little bit. Oh, I got a new one. So it's going faster than I wanted to, so I'm going to put it a little bit above. So you can see you might have to play around with it. Mine wasn't perfect at first. And now. So even Miss Farella has to play around. Okay, let's see. There we go. Now that's like way better timing. Like it should be at the same. Yeah. So you might have to play around with it, and then that looks good. Okay. So the last thing I want to do is it's kind of like just sitting there. So this is cool. It's like this really nice reveal. Here's Panthers, but then Panthers is just kind of like sitting there. And then, you know, it disappears and then the line disappears. So what I want to do is I'm going to add an effect. So I'm going to drag the current time indicator to the 3-second mark. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the effects and presets. And I'm just going to type in, I know that it's under animation presets, and then it's under text, and then it's under blurs. And there's one called Jiggy. But if you always know what yours is going to be, you could always just type it out, Jiggy. And then I'm going to actually drag and drop this onto the Panthers layer. So I'm going to click and drag it to the Panthers layer. And because I dragged it where the 3-second mark is, it's not going to start affecting the animation until the 3-second mark. So make sure that your current time indicator is at 3. If you do it at here, it's going to start jiggling, you know, while it's still in there. So you want to make sure that you pick that 3-second mark before you apply it. And then I'm going to select the button to do it. Okay, good. And it's shaking. There's my Panthers. And then it reveals again. So I just wanted to show you that here's my text. And then here's my Jiggy animator. And I'm going to keep going down. And then it says, where is it going to blur? Where is it going to start? And where is it going to end? And my advanced, I'm trying to find, and then my blur. Okay, so where does it start blurring? This is actually saying that there is no keyframes, that it's just going to wiggle the entire time. So unlike where it's going to start here and going to end here, that one's a little bit different because of that reason. So let's look at it one more time, and then this one's done. I really like this one, this Jiggy. And then it disappears and starts again. All right, so last but not least, we're going to say composition, add to render queue. All right, and this one is named correctly, and I want to make sure it's exporting to the right place. Say save, and then render, and this one is done.